Alright guys, welcome back for another video. So in today's video, I'll be talking about the different name I'll be watching next week. So I have 3 key names I'm watching next week. But before I try to go in over the stock I'll be watching and the exact game plan that I'll be looking for, let's talk about the different key news event I'll be having next week. So before talking about the price action and all that stuff, let's quickly go over the weekly economic calendar. So this week is going to be really interesting. So again, we have CPI on the calendar. So inflation will be the main headline for this week. So the main driver of the price action. So let's talk about really quick what we have. So we start Monday with nothing scheduled on the calendar. So we don't have to worry about anything. So on Monday, the day should be really easy. But we can easily have a choppy price action on Monday because we have a major news that will be moving the market on Tuesday, which is CPI, right? We're gonna have the consumer price index next week. So definitely be ready for that. So this will be the main data that will be moving the market in next week price action. If you look at the forecast and the previous rate, so we see that the CPI is estimated to be lower than the previous rate, which is really interesting. I'm not talking about different type of CPI. So we have just the normal customer CPI. So the previous rate was 0.3, and this is set to rise only 0.2, which is 0.1 less than the previous rate. However, if you look at the CPI year over year, this is pretty much set to be higher than the previous rate, 2.7. And the core CPI, which is one of the most important data that the Fed look at, is set to rise as well to 0.3 compared to the previous rate, 0.2. So this right here is the same, is pretty much the major data to actually watch. The core CPI and the core CPI year over year both are set to be higher than the previous rate. So most likely there's a good chance we can actually have a higher rate on inflation based on estimate. So that's the forecast. They're set to be higher than the previous rate. We'll see what kind of data we have, and that's that we have right here. We're going to all-time high. So we'll see if we still don't have a lower CPI, because that's what the Fed want to see as well to look to cut, right? Because I think the tariff will be the major driver for that higher level rate on the CPI if we hit those data, and the market will go crazy down, right? In that gap down, if not only the CPI that we have on Tuesday is higher than the estimate, that would be really bad. We can easily see a strong pullback in the market, but we'll see how we actually play down. I know that I'll be watching as well the monthly U.S. federal budget. Will be really interesting. We have the previous monthly budget to be at 244 billion, and now we have a lower level right here. So that's on Tuesday. So Tuesday will be a really interesting day to actually trade. We're having our volatility. Now volatility means good move can happen and make good return. On Wednesday, we have a couple of Fed speakers that will be talking. Depending on what comment they make, they can actually move the market as well. And on Thursday, we have again the famous initial jobless claim that data get released every week. We also have core PPI. This will be the inflation data on the producer side. And if you look at it, the core PPI for last rate was about neutral, 0.0. But check this out. The core PPI for the next rate is set to actually rise from 0.0 to 0.3%. That's a big jump. All right. That's a big jump, so it's going to be really interesting. For what we see here from the forecast, it seems like the core inflation is set to actually spike. So that can actually create some selling pressure, some selling environment in the market. So be really aware of that, right? Unless we actually go lower than expectation. I mean, it will still be higher than the previous rate, but at least it will be really interesting. And on Friday, we have retail sales that will be coming out. So if you watch a company like Target, Walmart, Costco, all that stuff, but this data will probably make those stocks move, right, either up and down depending on the data. And we have other data as well, so I'm definitely going to be on Friday definitely watching this data right here and the consumer sentiment. So usually when the consumer sentiment gets released, we pretty much have a big move up or move down for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Friday on this time, be careful, all right? Be careful about if you're trading, if you need trade, so you don't want to get really surprised on the price action. But the consumer sentiment is said to be higher than the previous rate. That's good. So quickly, let's talk about SPY and talk about where we are and where we can go. So I'm briefly going to talk about SPY and maybe QQQ as well, depending on how I'm doing on time. So let's talk about the price action on SPY really quick. So pretty much for what I'm going to do here, I'm going to actually set that level all-time high at this level. That's the all-time high on SPY. So SPY hasn't made a new all-time high last week. So if you go on the weekly time frame, that's how we look like. So we pretty much had the week before last week, we had a nice big red candle at this level, and the previous last week we actually have a nice green candle, actually recovered pretty nicely. So we closed at this level the week before, and we opened, we had a nice gap up, and actually closed at this level, still lower than the all-time high, but we have a green wick and higher volume level as well. How that this price action looks like, again, the price action, if you look at it, it's still bullish, right? It's still bullish. So this red wick was the first red wick, right after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of only green weekly candles. So definitely a nice, just like a small pullback. So if you go on the daily time frame, that big red candle actually started at the gap down, and we actually saw SPY quickly go and fill that gap right here and even went higher. So it seems like SPY want to go to actually make a new automatic home for it. But how do I want to play this? Right. So again, next week we all saw the calendar. We have CPI that will be coming out. So far, it's said to be a bit bearish. So definitely, we'll be careful here. All-time high to be too bullish, even though the price action is bullish. So I'm definitely watching that. If we clear the all-time high, if CPI has a surprise and it doesn't actually hit the estimate, and we have a lower rate than the estimate, we can actually have a nice push all the way up to 650. Right, that's on the bullish scenario case. On the bearish scenario case, however, we can easily go back to that low or that previous week right here, which is I think the 620 at this level. Let me actually have that level on my chart. It's going to be one of the key levels to watch in general. So let's actually make this. So pretty much have that range right here. I think we can actually come back and retest that previous. So we pretty much this level has been a nice bounce level so far on SPY. So we have a bounce right here, hold right here, and another one right here. So 3 main bounce area or scenario that actually happened on this level. So I'm definitely watching that for a comeback at this level, which is about 70 point down, and from where we are right now to here is about less than 3%. So on the higher hand, near 3%. So definitely see how we actually trade it. Depending how volatile this week can be, we can actually reach that level in a couple of days, but we'll see how the price action move. But 3% in one move will be really, aggressive, but possible. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Last week we had to move from where we are right now to here, about like less than 2%, and we didn't have any major news. So that's what I'm seeing right here. And for Monday, we have any news depending on where we open. So if I go to the 1 hour really quick, the level you want to have in your chart. So we actually clear the 638 after hour actually clear that level. So that's pretty much a key resistance level that you can see the selling pressure has been there. If you're a day trader, that's one of the key levels you want to watch. So here you can see we actually break and retest strong selling pressure. And here we came again at this level, strong selling pressure after you rejected. And here we actually came back again after hours to try to break that level. So if you lose that 638 level, you can actually expect some selling pressure coming down here. So that's definitely watching this level for sure to see where we open. So this right here is going to be a main level for me, decision on how do I want to trade SPY, depending on where we open. If we open below this, then I'm gonna focus to the downside. If we say above it, there's a good chance we go to actually hit a new all-time high level on SPY. So that's the level I'm watching. We can actually have a small demand zone that we can actually target if we go to the downside, and that would be this big packet right here. Yeah, we can actually go back and actually, and the main level inside there will be 630 to watch. You wanna watch the 630 level on this right here, and I'm gonna make this green really quick. Alright, so if we lose the 638, we have about 8 points from 638 to 630. That's about an 8-point move home. We can go to the downside, and that probably be giving back that move that we have here, which is about like 1.2% right to the downside. So for a day trade, that's a big enough room to actually catch some of that move to the downside. So definitely watching 638. If you don't clear this, then yeah. Let's talk about another name I will be on watch. Another name that had a big move last week, that's Apple. Apple went crazy last week, guys. Apple went crazy. So if you look at it, Apple has been a slow mover in this market bullishness for a couple of weeks now. But if you want on the weekly time, so you can see Apple in that major consolidation move right here until we actually have a strong breakout. So that was really meaningful, that breakout. So what we're gonna do here, I'm gonna set the resistance of that range and also the support at this level right here. Let's have it at this level right here. All right, and let's go to the daily time frame really quick, and let's talk about that range breakout really quick. So we have the big range at this level. Apple also had earnings. Oops, I didn't mean to do that, but it's okay. Apple had earnings on this day right here. It didn't go anywhere, right? We didn't go anywhere. It's gonna push up and actually have the big candle, hold this 2.5, gap up, and for 3 days in a row, and end up having a strong move before market close for the week. All right, so we pretty much kept below the 215.5 for a while, and guess what? After that gap up right here, came back, retested, small rejected, and gap up. We then came back again, trying to actually play with that level on the daily time frame, just gap up above it and keep pushing it. The last 3 days on Apple was really strong if you actually play in the bullish side. But pretty much easy money to be made here. Apple actually have a dividend day right here, and actually talking about this, I have a put position on Apple for Monday, which is a risky one. I'm trading against the volatile move right here, trying to actually catch the pullback and also have the dividend day as well. This guy right here can actually trigger some selling pressure and also the stock being extended. So I'm pretty much having some type of probability on my favor to actually catch the pullback. So if you go to the 4 hour, right, as I said, we had a big breakout on that level. All right, we have been having a hard time to actually break that level for a while. Break that level, we didn't have a retest. We actually pushed really hard. This can actually continue, but I think we can actually have a pullback first. We have a nice zone right here that we can actually come and just like fill that zone and actually bounce back up if the price is still bullish, or even come and just start retest that 215.5. But definitely, I'm watching Apple to see how it plays out. I have again a bearish position on one now, but I think Apple over in the short term to long term, this right here can actually push really nice right here, can actually go all the way up 250 target pretty soon. So definitely watching, and the 250 target is about right here. Yeah, it's about right here, 250 target. The big target on Apple that I'm watching for the rest of the quarter. All right. So the 250 target has from that, so we can actually go back there. But again, we're not gonna go there to a straight line. All right, pretty much gonna go with some type of pullback if we have to go there. All right, and so I'm definitely watching for that. For day trading levels, right, definitely have that high here. I'm not gonna, don't look for any buying opportunity if we don't clear that high for continuation. All right, you can actually look for there's a possible move to the downside that can actually catch on the pullback, and after the pullback actually happen, then you can look for a bullish opportunity or buying opportunity to buy calls to actually catch the bounce. But I think for the bounce, we have all room to go all the way down that level right here. But again, another early target for a bounce would be the 226 level right here. That would be the first easy bounce level that we can actually have on Apple before getting to that zone right here. That's what I'm seeing on Apple so far. I'm not gonna go too deep into it. Don't make this video too long, so I'm gonna talk about one last name I'm watching, and we're gonna call it off here. So another name I'm watching as well will be AMD. AMD has been really strong too for the past couple of weeks. So if you look at AMD, we are a nice low level right here, strong move to the upside, strong bullish pressure. Last week AMD actually had first red weekly candle after a strong momentum move. So I'm definitely watching there. That's a slowdown. So we actually have, I'm going to mark my 180 level right here on AMD, which is a key level for me that I'm watching. So let's actually set this up really quick right here. So now I'm going to go to the daily time frame. So I'm definitely watching that level. It's a rejection level that I have on AMD. Pretty much try to actually break that level, rejected here. We have that earning that we actually push the price lower, came back, filled that gap, and we're still there. Right. So also another level I'm gonna have as well is the low before the close before the earnings right here. I'm gonna have that level as well. So if we actually we're still below that level, let's actually have it at 174.5. I'm gonna have a nice level right here. So if we actually stay below that level on Monday, I'm gonna be looking to the move to the downside. Right, I'm gonna be focused to the downside movement because we can actually come back at that high right here. That will be the 162 level. And let's make this green out here. Right. So this is the level I'm gonna be watching for a move down to that same level. If you stay below this, that's the the key level I'll be targeting as we actually trying to go to the downside, trying to catch some of that move, because that's gonna be a nice home down about like 6 to 7%. It's big enough, and AMD can move crazy. You can see those three candles. It's about like 7% move. If you go all the way up down here, it will be even bigger than that, almost like 10% move. If you go the 3 days, the whole range, more than 10%. So AMD can move that way. So I'm know for sure. If you look at from where we are right now to here, it's about 6%, and that 6%, all I'm trying to do, I'm trying to catch some of it. If I can catch 2 or 3% of that range, I'm gonna get paid, and that's all I'm trying to do. I can try to optimize for the best entry for the direction I'm trying to catch, and catch most of the move. Right? It's really hard to actually catch the exact entry, the exact move to catch a whole 6%. If it happens, good, but that's not the goal. The goal is to catch most of the move with the most optimized entry. So that's what I'm looking for. So simply, that's what I'm looking for. If you stay below the 174.5, looking for a nice bearish entry. Because like what I've enjoyed here, we have a trend line resistance that AMD needs to break. Right? If you break it, if you break about 174.5, that's gonna be almost like a bull flag pattern being broken. But let's go over to the 4 hour first before I join this. If we go to the 4 hour and we actually draw that trend line resistance that we have here, the resistance right here, boom. Right. As you can see, we pretty much had a nice rejection right here. Have a nice rejection. Also have static rejection at this level as well. So we see if that rejection will be really strong or not. I can actually have that rejection really strong and go to the downside right here. But if we happen to actually, break that trend line and break the 174 level, then my sentiment will go from bearish to bullish. Because if you can clear this, the good chance can go for the 180, which again under rejection level. But again, I'm gonna try to actually catch the move toward that level. And from 174 to 180, that's about like almost like 4-point move that I can catch. So definitely watching that. If we clear this, then I'm gonna be looking for like a bullish move toward that 180 and try to see if you can break it, depending on what kind of news that actually move the market. But right now, I'm focused on the downside movement, because right here we pretty much have the high level right here. At this level, we have a lower high. Again here, if we stay here, we're not gonna make a new high right here. This is gonna be another lower high. This right here, this is a lower low. This is a lower low. So if you come here and we reject it, we don't make a new higher highs. Come down here and we go here. The whole purpose of this is to go and try to make a new lower high. Even this will be the target where we can actually bounce. And at that level, and if you want to continue to actually have a downward structure, then most likely we're going to go and make a new lower high at this level, and that will be a nice sign of a downtrend on the 4 hour. But that's what I'm looking at. So I'm not going to make this video too long, so I'm going to stop here. I have other them I'm watching as well. So if you are in a premium Discord, I'll be talking about those and sharing those game plan and the entry exit when I'm entering them. Thanks for watching, and catch you on the next video.